Spatial scale. Is environmental action best taken at local scales, or do we need to find ways to act globally? The scope and magnitude of environmental problems today can be overwhelming. Is it possible, perhaps even best, to address these problems at local scales? The Ecotypes spatial scale axis compares local versus global scale approaches. This relates to the Ecotypes theme of small versus big action. On the spatial scale axis, to the left is the local pole and to the right is the global pole. Let's look at either end of the spectrum. Well, I believe that the best way to address global environmental problems is actually at the local scale, where we can make a difference. Major environmental problems today are global, and so must be their solutions. We can't accomplish much at local scales. Now, let's listen to some student anecdotes relating to the spatial scale axis.
I believe that bigger change has more of an effect, especially on things like climate change. Um, for example, like to deal with climate change, it's wonderful that like small countries make their targets to reduce their carbon emissions. But in the grand scheme of things, those targets for the smaller countries won't do anything if larger countries don't follow suit. In order to achieve that, I just think that global agreements, such as the Paris Climate Agreement, is necessary for appropriate change.
I guess when I think of global action, I think of these large statutes that have been made, such as the Paris Accords. And although those have incited the desire and like need for change, they haven't been as effective, or as effective as they could be, which can be disheartening. But I think it's also important that we set those global standards for each other in the hopes that eventually people will want to incite this change, whether it's nationally, and I think that can inspire others as well on a global scale. Essentially, I mean, you see Greta Thunberg and everything, and all that she's done, and I smile every time I think about her, just because, oh, she's so awesome, and she's incited global change in a way, something that started locally for her, and then incited just global action in general. So I think those two are hard to distinguish.
Definitely, this spatial scale is very much tied to the change axis as well. And I think my thoughts about it are very similar. If world economies or national economies and societies were contained to their individual countries, then maybe change could happen solely at a local scale. But I think because we have pretty much a world economy, and in many ways world governments and sort of and like international cultures, it seems like that demands global action. Thinking specifically about the oceans, like water doesn't just stay on the coastline of one country, it circles around the world. And so that seems like it demands a global focus. And I also think for me, global change represents like cooperation between countries, not just like a country acting around the world, but countries acting together around the world.
I think I was hearing about how much the pollution is caused by major corporations. I guess that sort of made me feel like there isn't really as much point to do things on the local scale. But I still believe that even if environmental engagement on the local scale is important, even if it isn't as effective, because it does get people in the mindset of caring about these things. But I feel that overall it's just much more effective to focus on the global scale. I feel that, yeah, I just feel on the local scale, they aren't contributing as much to the overall state of the environment. So there isn't as much that they can really potentially change.
I mean, I think kind of the purpose of doing this ecotypes and some of Dr. Proctor's work is engagement, and it's really important. You have to have both scales of local and global if you're going to engage with people, because it's so much harder to get people to care about things that are happening across an ocean or states away. But if you can convince people and show people how environmental things impact their everyday life or are contributing to problems in their community, then it's so much easier to show people why things matter. You can see these kind of shifts on local levels that are much easier to accomplish when you can go talk to your neighbor, and you can go speak at a city council meeting, and you can go engage with members of your community, and they know you, and you have other relationships. You see them in the grocery store, you like live in their neighborhoods, so you're going to be able to engage with them differently, and they're going to have a different relationship with you. Like, it's easier for them to trust you, and there's not this disconnect. And so, like, I think I fell more on the middle of that one, because I think that when it comes to like messaging of policy, it's easier to push things in your community differently. I'm also like a member of the Sunrise Movement, and a huge push that like they do is like, we're pushing the Green New Deal, but that's on every scale. That's on like, you know, your municipality can pass a Green New Deal, your state can pass a Green New Deal, the country can pass it, like, and all those versions can be different for everyone. But if you engage people in your local municipality and you're like, don't you want better jobs that are in green, sustainable infrastructure, and don't you want public spaces, and don't you want like to enhance your own community, it's so much easier to get people on board.
Where do your opinions lie on the spatial scale axis? Do you think we need more local or global scale action when approaching environmental issues? You can find out by taking the Ecotypes survey at ecotypes.us. It only takes a few minutes and will immediately give you comprehensive results about you. If you want to dive even deeper into Ecotypes, the website has more information, and there's even a book coming soon. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you gained something valuable from it. This Ecotypes video series is all unfunded work, so if you would like to support us and know of any further opportunities, please get in touch and engage with this video by liking, commenting, and subscribing. It really helps us out. So thank you so much, and stay curious.